He didn't hit you. He didn't threaten you. He just said one sentence in that meeting, and before you knew it, your mouth moved faster than your mind. You fired back. The room went quiet. Your boss stared. Your coworker smirked. And later, in the car, you replayed it like a punishment. Why did I say that? Now tell me one thing. When someone provokes you, what happens inside your body? It's not your words that destroy everything. It's the moment you don't pause. Now, if you felt that flash of regret in your chest, good. Because it proves something important. You're not a bad person. You're a human being with a nervous system. Most people think they lost control because they're weak, because they don't have enough discipline, because they don't have the right personality. That's a comforting lie. The truth is harsher and simpler. Your brain was never designed to be wise in the middle of a threat. It doesn't matter if the threat is a fist coming toward your face or a sentence coming toward your ego, a hostile tone, a public jab, a comment thread that turns into a battlefield. Your body reads it the same way. Danger. And the moment your brain senses danger, it flips a switch. First, the alarm goes off. Your heart speeds up, your shoulders rise, your jaw tightens, your breathing becomes shallow, fast, uneven. Then the chemicals hit your bloodstream like gasoline on a fire. Your vision narrows. Your thoughts become sharp, short, and brutal. This is why, in that moment, you don't choose your words. Your words choose you. The part of you that normally thinks in nuance, is this worth it? What will this cost me? What do I actually want? Gets pushed into the background, like a calm pilot forced out of the cockpit while a panicking passenger grabs the controls. So you become two different people. There's you on a normal Tuesday. You can listen, you can smile, you can let things slide. You can speak with intention. And there's you when you're triggered. You interrupt, you defend, you attack. You say the one thing you know will sting. Not because you're evil, because your system is trying to survive. Now tell me something. Have you ever typed a message in anger, and the moment you hit send, you felt your stomach drop? That drop is your thinking mind coming back online. Too late. After the damage, after the screenshot, after the apology you didn't want to make. This is the trap. Not lack of intelligence, not lack of morality. Speed. When emotion moves faster than awareness, you don't act, you react. And reaction is always expensive. It happens with a boss. It happens when your partner says, "You never listen." It happens on the freeway when someone cuts you off. It happens online, where one comment can make you feel attacked online. Here's the good news. If the problem is biology, the solution is also biology. You don't need to become a monk. You don't need to memorize 100 rules. You need one window of time where your thinking brain can return to the room. A pause. Not a pause to look calm. A pause to take back the controls. Because the difference between I am angry and I notice I'm angry is not a poetic distinction. It's a neurological shift. It's the moment you stop being the storm and become the person watching it. And once you can watch it, you can choose. This is why a few seconds matter. Not because 3 is a magic number, but because even a short delay can break the chain. Trigger, tension, explosion. In a world that rewards instant reactions, instant replies, instant clapbacks, instant outrage, your greatest power is the ability to wait. Whoever controls the pause controls the outcome. Most people hear the word pause, and they think it means being timid, being passive, letting people walk all over you. But that's not what a real pause is. A real pause is not weakness. It's position. In American culture, we're trained to admire speed. Quick comebacks, quick decisions, quick replies. If you hesitate, you look uncertain. If you stay silent, people assume you lost. Sounds familiar, right? Now contrast that with what you'll notice in Japanese culture, especially in formal settings, in meetings, in disagreements, in moments that would normally spark a fast reaction. The silence is not empty. It's loaded. It's not, "I have nothing to say." It's, "I'm choosing what to say." In Japan, there's a deep respect for restraint. Not because people are emotionless, but because they understand something most people miss. Words create consequences that you can't take back. In the U.S., we treat words like bullets in an argument. The faster you fire, the stronger you look. But in many Japanese contexts, words are treated more like a blade. You don't swing it wildly. You don't show it off. You draw it only when the moment is right. And that moment begins with space. A gap between stimulus and response. A breath. A beat. A tiny pocket of time where your ego is begging you to speak, and your awareness says, "Not yet. Now let's be clear. I'm not saying Japan is perfect, or that every Japanese person is calm and wise. That would be naive. People are people everywhere. What I'm pointing to is a way of thinking. A culture that doesn't automatically equate silence with losing. Because in many Western arguments, the loudest person dominates the room. In a Japanese-style pause, the calmest person dominates the outcome. Think about it. When two people are in conflict, who has more power? The one who explodes first, or the one who can wait? The one who reacts gives away information. You reveal your insecurity, your weak points, your emotional triggers. You show the other person exactly which buttons to press. But the one who pauses, the one who stays still, they force the other person to carry the weight of their own emotion. They create uncertainty. They slow the tempo. And whoever controls the tempo controls the exchange. This is why the 3 seconds idea matters, even if it's not a historical rule carved into stone. It's not about the number, it's about the symbol. 3 seconds is just a name for a principle, intentional space, a conscious gap, a moment where you don't let the world grab your steering wheel. Now tell me something. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person stayed calm and you were the one getting louder? What happened? You started to feel stupid. You started to lose control. You started to chase their calm with your chaos. That's what a pause does. It doesn't just protect you from saying something reckless. It changes the entire emotional atmosphere. It forces the fight to slow down. And slowing down is not passive. Slowing down is tactical. In Japan, there's a phrase you'll hear in different forms. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. People can debate that idea all day, but the psychological lesson is simple. Standing out emotionally makes you vulnerable. Outrage makes you predictable, and predictability is something other people can use against you. So the pause is not about being nice. It's not about swallowing your truth. It's about choosing a higher position. It's the difference between reacting like an animal and responding like someone who sees the whole battlefield. This is the law. Whoever controls the reaction controls the situation, and the pause is where that control begins. So what actually changes in your brain when you don't react right away? Because if the pause is real power, it can't be mystical. It has to be measurable. It has to do something. And it does. Think of your mind like a 2-system machine. One system is fast, automatic, emotional. It's the part that screams, defend yourself, strike back, prove you're right. The other system is slower, deliberate, strategic. It asks, what's the best move? What will this cost me? What do I want to happen next? When you get provoked, the fast system takes over. Instantly. It hijacks your attention. It narrows your perspective. It makes everything feel urgent and personal. That's why you can go from calm to explosive in seconds. Now here's the key. A pause is not about becoming calmer first. A pause is about creating enough time for the slower system to step back into the room. Before the pause, your brain is running on threat. Your body is tense. Your thoughts are short. Your language becomes absolute. Always. Never. You always do this. You never respect me. You're so stupid. You're so selfish. That's not intelligence talking. That's emergency mode talking. But after the pause, even a short one, something shifts. Not because your emotion disappears, but because your awareness expands. You stop seeing the moment as a fire you must fight. You start seeing it as information you can use. This is why people regret their words later. The thinking part of the brain eventually returns and says, what did you just do? The pause simply brings that part back sooner. Now tell me something. Have you ever been seconds away from sending a savage text, and then you stopped and reread it, and suddenly it looked different? Same situation, same anger, but a different brain was holding the pen. That's the science in plain language. A delay reduces impulsive behavior. It gives your brain time to regulate. Researchers in behavioral science have studied this idea for decades. When you increase the space between an impulse and an action, people make better choices. Not perfect choices, better choices. And it's not just mental. It's physical. When you pause, you often breathe, even if you don't notice it. And breathing changes your state fast. Slow, controlled breathing activates the body's calming system. It lowers the intensity of the stress response. It tells the nervous system, we're not dying. We're just offended. That one message alone can change everything. Because when your body stops screaming danger, your mind stops demanding war. So before the pause, you're a puppet of the moment. Your words come out like a reflex. You win the sentence and lose the relationship. You win the argument and lose your reputation. You feel powerful for 5 seconds and ashamed for 5 days. After the pause, you have options. You can still be firm. You can still set boundaries. You can still say, that's not okay. But you say it from clarity, not from combustion. And here's the part most people miss. The pause doesn't just protect you. It changes the other person. Because when someone throws emotional heat at you and you don't immediately throw it back, it disrupts the pattern. They expected a fight. You gave them space. Now they have to deal with their own intensity. This is why calm is contagious. But only if you can access it in time. So the pause is not a self-help trick. It's a biological lever, a switch, a doorway. And in the next part, I'm going to show you how to use that doorway in real life. At work, in relationships, and online, without sounding weak, without counting in your head, and without losing your voice. All right, enough theory. Because the pause is only powerful if you can use it when it matters most. Not in your bedroom with a candle, not in a calm morning routine. In the middle of real life, in the workplace, in your relationships, on the internet, in traffic, in those moments where one sentence can cost you respect, money, or peace. So I'm going to give you 4 situations, and for each one, I want you to notice the difference between the version of you that reacts and the version of you that pauses. Simple. Situation 1. The workplace. Your manager sends you an email at 9:47 p.m. Subject line, we need to talk. Or worse, they publicly correct you in a meeting, in front of everyone, and you feel it, the heat in your face, the tension in your neck, the sudden urge to defend your competence like your life depends on it. Before the pause, you do what most people do. You fire back. You justify. You over-explain. You write a long email with 12 bullet points and 3 passive-aggressive sentences you'll pretend were just being clear. And then you wake up the next morning with that sinking feeling. Why did I make it worse? After the pause, the move is different. You do nothing for a moment. You breathe once. You reread the email or replay the sentence in your head like a neutral observer. And then you ask one question. What is the outcome I want? Not how do I win this moment? What do I want by tomorrow? Respect, clarity, stability, career safety. So instead of the emotional reply, you send the strategic reply. Short, calm, direct. Thanks for the note. I'm available tomorrow at 10 or 2. Happy to align. That's it. And notice what you just did. You didn't submit. You controlled the tempo. You refused to fight on their timeline. That is power. Situation 2. Your relationship. Your partner says something sharp. Maybe it's not even the words. It's the tone. You never listen. You always make it about you. And instantly, your brain wants to counterattack with the greatest hits. Well, you do the same thing. Actually, you're the one who, before the pause, you go to war. You bring up old receipts. You start listing everything you've ever done right. You try to win the courtroom, and the argument drifts. It stops being about the original issue and becomes a battle for dominance. 2 egos colliding, 2 nervous systems spiraling. After the pause, you do something that feels almost unnatural at first. You let the first wave pass. You don't agree. You don't apologize for something you didn't do. You simply delay the reaction long enough to hear what's underneath. Because most conflict is not about the sentence. It's about the feeling behind the sentence. So you pause, 1 breath, and you ask one grounded question. Okay, tell me what you mean by that. Now you've changed the arena. You moved from combat to clarity. And the amazing part? Even if they stay heated, you won't. Because you're not matching their emotion. You're guiding it. Situation 3. Social media. This is where the pause becomes life-saving. Someone comments something stupid, something rude, something that pokes your identity, and your fingers start moving before your mind does. You want to destroy them with one perfect reply. You want the likes, the validation, the win. Before the pause, you enter the arena. You write the clapback. You refresh the notifications. You keep checking. Your chest stays tight for an hour over someone you will never meet. And here's the most humiliating part. You think you're fighting them, but you're actually donating your peace to a stranger. After the pause, you remember the law. Attention is energy. Energy is life. So you ask yourself, is this worth my life? And for most comments, the answer is no. So you do the most powerful thing you can do online. You don't respond. Or you respond with one sentence and leave. Or you close the app and walk away. Not because you're afraid, because you're disciplined. Situation 4. The text message. This is the one that ruins friendships. Someone sends you something disrespectful, or confusing, or cold. And the worst part is what your mind does in the silence. It fills in the blanks with fear. Before the pause, you send the emotional message, the long paragraph, the accusation disguised as being honest. And the moment it lands, you can't take it back. After the pause, the move is simple. You don't reply immediately. You do one thing. You write the response, and you don't send it. You let it sit. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes, whatever you can handle. Then you read it again and ask, is this my wisdom or my wound? And when you do that, something incredible happens. Most of the time, the message gets shorter, cleaner, kinder, stronger, because you're no longer writing from the storm. You're writing from the center. This is how you apply the pause in modern life. Not as a cute trick, as a weapon, as a shield, as a doorway back to yourself. And in the next part, I'm going to show you the simplest way to trigger this pause on command, so you can access it even when your emotions are already rising. Now, here's the truth. This was never about communication. It was about identity, because the person you become in conflict is the real you. Not the version of you when life is easy. Not the version of you when you're relaxed and everyone is kind. The real you shows up when you're provoked. And most people, in that moment, don't act from strength. They act from injury, from ego, from fear, from the ancient part of the mind that thinks every disagreement is a threat to survival. So they react fast. They say what they'll regret. They type what they can't unsend. They win a moment and lose a year. But the pause changes the story. The pause is the space where you stop being a reflex and start being a person again. It's the moment you remember, I don't have to give my power away. I don't have to match chaos with chaos. I can choose, and that choice is what separates the strong from the loud. In the beginning, the pause feels like losing. It feels like you're letting something slide, like you're letting them get away with it. But that's because you've been trained to believe that speed is dominance. It isn't. Speed is exposure. Every instant reaction is a confession. It reveals where you're insecure. It reveals what controls you. It reveals the buttons someone can press to make you dance. But when you can pause, when you can hold your center while the world tries to pull you into the storm, you become something rare. You become unmovable. Not cold, not numb, not passive, clear. And clarity is a form of power most people will never touch, because clarity means you can be firm without being cruel. You can set boundaries without losing your dignity. You can walk away without needing the last word. You can speak, not to win, but to build. That's why the pause is not just a technique. It's a path from being controlled to being in control. Now tell me one thing. The next time someone provokes you an email, a partner's tone, a comment online, what will you do? Will you react the way you always do? Or will you take the smallest step toward mastery? Here's your practice. Today, not tomorrow. The next time you feel that surge in your body, the tension, the heat, the urge to strike back, do one thing. Take one breath and say silently, pause. Not to look calm, to become calm. Not to be nice, to be free. Because true strength is not in having the perfect comeback. It's in choosing when to speak, and when silence is the noblest response. If this message resonated with you, don't overthink it. Don't make it complicated. Just try it once today. One pause, one breath, one choice, and you'll start to notice something almost unbelievable. Many conflicts don't end because the other person changed. They end because you did.